Hello, everybody. Welcome to Destination Unknown and welcome back, Gareth. We are excited you're on.
Hello. I thought I would make a big bombastic entry here, but yeah, it felt right when the team asked me if I wanted to come in for this, considering I am the evil originator of this challenge, and it feels like a little bit of a gift since it's my birthday tomorrow, and you gave me the gift of being able to torment a whole bunch of new people. So here.
Well, happy early birthday to Gareth. Oh, this is so surreal sitting on this side because I remember the first time I ever saw this challenge, I was still an AutoCrit member. I wasn't on the AutoCrit team. And so now sitting here and seeing what goes into making this challenge come to life is really intriguing. So we are super excited just to see how you guys do with this year's version of Destination Unknown. And if you do want to get a little inkling of what this is like from past challenges, those replays are still on YouTube on our channel. So nothing's stopping you from going and pulling those up. And seeing what goes into this. But Gareth, since this is sort of your challenge baby, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Destination Unknown is and how it works? And I'll drop the link to join in the chat because it's 100% free to join.
It is, yes. We have a few kind of guidelines. It's fairly simple, it's various, but it's simple. You just have to kind of stick with it, think on your feet, and come out the other end. And really, we hope we'll walk through a few slides here as to what's going on. But yeah, before I jump into that, actually, welcome to anyone who's new to AutoCrit, like coming in through this challenge, because we're running challenges every month, so there's always something happening. But feel free to sign off in the chat there live if you're a newbie, if you haven't been here before. If you haven't, I would highly recommend, as Catherine mentioned, spend some time and go back through the YouTube channel, because you can go back and look at all the times we've run this. Those are still on the channel, other challenges, helpful videos. Subscribe to the channel. What's it, like and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. Make sure that you are following us, and pop over to autocrit.com and have a look at the website, because you can see everything there about the membership and all of that. So we run these free challenges, but there is a membership side and software and everything for writers. It's a whole big world for writers, basically. So yeah, head over there. But yes, how this challenge works is, you are going to be tasked with writing a short story. We hope that you basically just come out the other end of this with something new. It's all for fun, so don't get too stressed. But the way it generally works is, tonight we are going to give you an opening line, or slash today if you're in the US. It's now evening for me. We're going to give you an opening line. Now, this opening line must be the line with which your story begins. You cannot mess with it. There are a couple of caveats that I'll talk about when we reveal the line itself, but you have to start your story with this line. Then next week, so we're going to be coming back here live every Tuesday for the rest of March. Next week, after you have already been in the weeds, kind of writing away on the new story, we're going to introduce a twist. And then there's going to be another twist a week after that. So I think in the past we've only ever done one twist. We're double stacking it this time to be a little extra nasty. Now, these twists, you won't know it until it arrives, but you're going to have to then adapt on the fly to accommodate the twists. These will be demands that are made of your story. For example, it can be, must include a car chase, must include something exploding, or it can be form things like you're not allowed to use the word awesome, that kind of thing, which would kill me because I say that word all the time. But yeah, there's going to be two twists. So as you go through, adapt to them. Then a few weeks in, when we get to the end, we're going to give you a closing line. And again, this will be the closing line with which your story must finish. It has to use this separate sentence as its final line. Everything that comes in between, that's up to you. And then finally, you can submit your submit your story, not submit your prize. Submit your story through the AutoCrit Writer's Desk. Everybody who has joined up for the challenge should at least be a free AutoCrit member now, so you can log in and try the software for free, and some restrictions, but you're a free member. And in the end, we will take submissions through the platform. Jury behind the scenes will look at all the entries, and we will have a grand prize kind of reveal at the end, a little celebration party with some stuff to go. We'll talk about prizes when we get there, but that's it in a nutshell. Catherine, I hope that clears it up.
Absolutely. We got people mentioning time. So we do, out of the nicety of Garrett's heart, have one extra week that we have not included in past challenges. So we are giving you 4 full weeks to write. The finale will be officially the last week of March, and then we will announce the winner on April 1st. So you should be able to do that in plenty of time in a month. We're just looking for a short story. You can write longer, but we're only looking for a short story for the sake of the challenge. So we're not really looking for a full-length novel in a month. Although if that's where it leads you, then I guess that's where you end up with, right?
Yeah, you can feel free to run with it if that's where it goes. It is unknown after all.
And we've got our new people on, so welcome. Brand new to AutoCrit, brand new to the challenge. Got people who are registered from all over, so welcome, 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 one and all. All right, now we talked a little bit about what the challenge is. We're going to talk about our challenge goals. So ultimately, coming at this from someone who originally saw this as a writer and not as just a member of the AutoCrit team, I looked at Destination Unknown as an ability to grow my content flexibility. There are so many reasons we as writers need to be flexible in what we write. You never know, especially if you're following trends as a self-published author or you're going to query for traditional publication, what you may have to change to meet reader or publisher expectations. So this is a great way to just see how you can adapt. But ultimately, we are giving you an opportunity to write a brand new short story. Don't just dust something off from the trunk and be like, this is there. I'm going to throw this in here. This is more of a writing challenge than a writing contest. So we want to see what you can push yourselves to accomplish so that you can grow as a writer over these next 4 weeks. I also strongly suggest, now it might be because I'm a pantser. I don't know where you fall, Gareth, pantser, planter, planner, but don't wait until you have all the things in the last week and overwhelm yourself. Being able to go back and change what you wrote is part of growing that flexibility. So start now. Start today when you get the opening line. And then if you have to go back and change things, you accept it, move on, rise to meet the challenge, improvise, adapt, overcome, and have fun with it. And then you'll submit your story for consideration. And of course, your story is still going to be yours. We're not going to read them live on YouTube this go round. So you can go and take those stories and query them, submit them to other contests, whatever you'd like to do with them. We here at AutoCrit make no claim to any rights over any of your work. Anything you'd like to add, Gareth?
No, I would simply reiterate everything that you said there and everything that's on the screen. Really in the spirit of the challenge, because we do, of course, it is tempting. You think, well, I'll tell you what, I'll sit back and wait for the month until I have all the details, and then I'll just start writing then. That's not the spirit of the challenge, clearly. So don't wait. As soon as we give you the first line today, just start thinking of ideas, start running with it, start some free writing. The whole essence of this challenge, and why I like to think of it as a bit nefarious, is that it is supposed to blindside you and get you creative, thinking on your feet as a creative, and also becoming comfortable with this whole notion of kill your darlings, because some of these twists that come up may be devastating. I mean, we've run this a good few times, and I have seen in the past, sometimes we have revealed something, seeing some people like, oh no, like this is never going to work, and then they managed to figure it out. So there's a bit of a shock, and getting through that as a creative, and getting comfortable with that is something that will benefit you throughout your career. No matter how experienced you are. So do that, improvise, adapt, and overcome, and you'll have a lot more fun as we go through.
All right. And so we hear some things going on about word count. Let's talk a little bit about Destination Unknown. Specifically, unlike the other challenges that we've done in 2025, we do not have a hard cap for you guys. We suggest no higher than 4,000 words because ideally a short story is about 3,500 words in that sweet spot. If you start getting into more than 4,000 words, you start branching into novella territory a little bit. But we are not necessarily going to disqualify you. Now, if you submit a full-length novel and say, this is my short story, then obviously we're not going to be able to read the full-length novel for the sake of the timing and how many participants we have. So if you would like the judges to read your story, aim for short story length. Have it at least 2,000 words, though. This is not microfiction. So we do want the challenge to be at least 2,000 words. And you can have your story be any genre as long as you incorporate the other required themes.
Yes, very simple. Very simple. So minimum of 2,000 words because ultimately, as the kind of creator of this challenge, one of the things I always think about with challenges is where are you going at the end? What's the outcome for taking part? Where do you benefit from all of this? So not only do you benefit from like I mentioned, the kind of creative, fast thinking that you're going to have to do and getting comfortable with nixing things that perhaps you loved the first time you wrote them, is going forth and selling a story. Get paid. That's ultimately what we want to do as well as writers, is go out there and sell the short stories. So a minimum of 2,000 words is very helpful in that regard. And because it's a month, I would recommend kind of capping yourself around 4,000 words. 5,000 is not bad. But just from experience, I tend to find that in short story markets, the kind of sweet spot for selling one is around 3,500 words. Now, of course, that's kind of fluid, between different markets and different publishers. But I tend to find that 3,500 is about that sweet spot. So I would encourage you to aim for that, because that's also very, very doable within the next 4 weeks or so, even though you're going to have to deal with twists. I think that as a length is very manageable. And yeah, as Catherine mentioned, there's no genre stipulations. I can tell you as well, not to worry. The twists aren't going to be genre based. We're not going to stop in the middle and say this has to be a romance. That's not going to happen. So feel free to run with whatever it is you like to write.
Yeah. And be creative with it. Have fun with it. Branch out. This is your safe space. All right. Opening line. I wish I had done a drum roll or something. Maybe we should have sang happy birthday. So the Wi-Fi password changed itself every 3 minutes. This is your opening line. Everybody who is participating has to use this line as it shows on the screen, word for word. No changing the tense, no changing punctuation, no flipping the verbiage around. It has to be just like this, right, Gareth?
Correct. Now, the little caveat that I would make on this one is, number one, the word Wi-Fi. I think the official stipulation for that is it is a proper noun, capital W, capital F with a hyphen in the middle, so Wi-Fi. However, colloquially, in terms of writing, the most common use is Wi-Fi, as you see there, kind of Wi-Fi, all one word. Some people may use a hyphen in between, the Y-Fi. Whatever way you're comfortable writing Wi-Fi, we're not going to argue about that. Also, this line can be dialogue. If you like to start with a character saying it, then feel free. It can be either just a prose piece of the narrative, or it can be dialogue. Your choice.
All right. So we know that you guys are eager to get started. We're not going to keep you on too long today, but here is the calendar of when you can expect all of these challenge updates. So today, of course, is the kickoff. We will introduce Twist 1 next week, Twist 2 the week after that, and then the final line. And at the end of that week, you have until March 30th to submit your story. Please don't wait until March 25th to start writing your story. If at all possible, as we said, the goal of this challenge is for flexibility, and flexibility means making changes along the way. We don't want anybody to not be able to submit because you waited till the last minute and then there just wasn't enough time. Right, Gareth?
Yeah, that'll be when you most stress I think you will stress yourself out more if you decide to try and pack it all in at the end. So stick with the spirit of the challenge. Go with the flow, ride the roller coaster. We'll be back each week, and you'll have to take new twists and turns. Again, it's destination unknown, baby. It's in the name. I just want to catch up with a few sort of questions and comments that I can see here in the chat too. Tim mentioning this is my realistic technology nightmare genre. Well, it could be. It could be. Wherever you spin off from that opening line, I mean, it's tempting to go straight for some kind of techno nightmare sort of thing, but it could be, a parent setting it up to kind of thwart their child who's addicted to Fortnite, or it could be a romance thing as well. Wherever you're going to go with it, go with it. Just think of ideas and surprise me. That's kind of part of writing great short stories these days too, is always thinking about how you're going to surprise me as a reader in the first few minutes, of starting to read this story. How are you going to signal to me that this is something that I haven't seen before? So think outside the box, bit of a cliche term, but do it nonetheless. Amanda, I want to help you out a little there, because I saw you mention this is your first official short story. What is the average length of this? Now, I kind of mentioned there that I'd recommend about a 4,000 word maximum or so for this challenge. But out in the real world, just general sense, you mentioned specifically 7,500 words. I tend to see a lot of the time that that's about the upper limit for short stories, being submitted to publications. Some places can even push to 10K, though. It all depends on the publication itself. But usually the more you can sort of hover around the 3,500 to 5K mark, that seems to be the sweet spot. So for short stories, keep that in mind. But again, a story at the end of the day can end up being as long as it needs to be, which is another point I would make here. This is a challenge for you. We mentioned have fun. That's what it's all about. That's why it's free and everything. We're here to write. So if you really get into the weeds with this story, and the prompts we've given you and the challenges we give you start to blow things wide open, and all of a sudden you're like, man, I've got a novella or I've got a novel out of this, go with it. Like, don't be afraid. Just run with it and keep that going, because ultimately, like I said at the end, we want you to have a product, a story that you're happy with and that you can go on and sell. And we have heard in the past from this challenge, multiple people have gone on to sell their stories, and we love to hear that, obviously, because to me that speaks of success. You did it. You got the most out of the challenge that you could possibly get.
And we got some other great questions in the chat. I've been trying to reply to them and pull them up on the screen. We will not be repeating any twists from Cupid's Gone Rogue, but we cannot guarantee what kind of twists you will come across in this challenge. It wouldn't be much of a challenge to just make you redo the challenge we just did, though.
Yeah, I think that's safely out the window. So no, won't be any repeated twists. I saw a mention there from Kathy. Can we add to the end of the first line, the Wi-Fi password changed itself every 3 minutes, causing blah 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 blah? No, you may not. The first line is that in its entirety.
I'm going to type that out. I'll put it up on the screen. The first line again has to be as is, so it should end in a period. My M-dash lovers, sorry, no M-dashes.
As much as I love them, no, you may not extend with an M-dash.
And again, we got a question about examples of a twist. Gareth, do you have any off the top of your head? I'd have to go back and look at the replays, honestly.
Oh, I kind of mentioned in the past, things like story content twists could be must include a car chase. I think another one we've used in the past for form was something like 0 repeated words. So you could not use the same word twice. Uncommon words, obviously, a word like you would have been able to use twice, but you weren't allowed to use any uncommon words twice in the entire story. Things like that. But I'm not going to reveal, what they actually are this time around. Until we get there, clearly.
Yeah, and someone else said example must be in past tense. All kinds of twists. So you're just going to have to bear with us and come back next week. Now, if your curiosity is getting the better of you, you can, of course, go back and watch those replays and see just how twisted these get. We have a few different years worth of challenges here on YouTube, so you can go spend a day sating your curiosity, catching up, and trying those out. But ultimately, we want this to be a fun challenge. We want you to grow through this flexibility side of writing in this challenge. And if you need us, and if you're not sure what something means and you want to make sure you're within the guidelines, there's a little help bubble in the bottom right hand corner of AutoCrit. And you can click that bubble and ask us any questions that you have at any time, because that is what we are here for. So I'm going to drop this link one last time, but any parting words before we log off today, Gareth?
Have fun, everybody, I guess is about it. I did see Rick mentioned there, if nothing can be added to the first line, does that mean no dialogue tag used in the first line either? I would say no. If you do make it dialogue, then use it kind of perfunctory. The Wi-Fi password changed itself every 3 minutes, and then Chris stared blankly at the keyboard. So we know that he said it, but you're giving us a description in the next sentence rather than attaching a dialogue tag to it. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, Lisa asked about would the choice be to write in past tense and asked for details on that. We just used that in another challenge 2 months ago, so we are not again repeating twists from this year. These are going to be original, brand new, Gareth schemed up twists of their own.
You're always trying to find new ones that are simple but impactful. It's harder than it sounds.
During the lives each week, we'll be breaking down exactly what we mean by these twists. If there are no more questions, I'm going to type that too. If there's no more questions, we are going to close there. But we really appreciate you being here. We are cheering you on. Gareth, I think, loves reading all of your attempts to incorporate these things every year. And there's some masterful stories. We've had members of the community go on to publish works out of Destination Unknown, right? So there's no cap to what you can do with the story that you walk out of here with.
Exactly right. So, yeah, we'll leave it there for today and let everybody get to work. So get started, write as much as you can, fall into it, and then we'll see you back on Tuesday where I'm going to kind of kick the blocks over a bit.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.